5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
For three nations, a new chapter in space takes flight.
नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, वॉट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं। मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Well, after multiple delays, SpaceX Falcon 9 has finally taken off for its mission to the International Space Station from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. In fact, it flew with 4 astronauts, which includes Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla from India. Shukla, remember, is the second Indian astronaut to travel to space after Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma made history in 1984. Now, greetings pour in from across the country as the mission marks India's growing space leadership. Let's go across and listen in to what Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla's recorded message just moments before he embarked on his maiden space mission.
नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, वॉट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना दिल से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत के इस ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Well, what a moment that is, and in that particular case, we're also being a part of history in our little bit of aspect of how we're looking at that. But having said that, let me take the opportunity to be introducing our guest joining us this evening, R.C. Kapoor, former scientist and professor at the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, as well as Ratan Shrivastava, non-resident fellow, Atlantic Council. Good evening to the both of you. Thank you very much for taking the time out. We just heard that message as well. In fact, in a sense also, rightly so, gives a little bit of goosebumps because I think for most of us, we weren't present during 1984. No offense to anybody about the age, but we're also a part of a little bit of history as to what we're looking at in terms of the Indian space odyssey. But let me come to you, Professor, first. Given the fact that this is clearly a giant leap, and this is coming after how many technical challenges we've seen just in this particular mission, but finally we looked at how this has been a successful launch. What are we looking at for this to really set the momentum for us with that particular mission?
This is a great moment for India because ISRO had been planning for a long time its Gaganyaan program. And just before that, before our astronauts could go into space, this chance came our way, and AXIOM-4 mission has given us a wonderful chance. So that, and already our own astronaut was so very well trained. And in fact, he has trained in different disciplines, Russian, Indian, and then NASA and SpaceX. So obviously, it's a great enrichment of knowledge. And obviously, when he comes back, he is going to share all his knowledge with the fellow astronauts as well as with ISRO. So this is a great preparedness for the future missions that I visualize. And obviously, everybody looks so very happy on the screen as I'm watching. And I watched the live launch also. It was like a textbook launch. So, and then, the launch director gives a go ahead in the last 45 seconds. So until then, our heart is the heartbeat is quite high, but then it was so good that at t equal to 0, the rocket left for space and the astronauts are already in the orbit. And now the very complicated process of docking has to be initiated. So it takes a very long time. That's the reason that this 28 hours interval is being told to us. So docking, after docking, they will be after certain clearances at the station. They will be let into the main premises of the International Space Station. The station has been there since 1998, and India has not yet had an astronaut sent to that place. So this is the first time, and it's a remarkable moment for us.
Absolutely, Professor Kapoor. I don't think anybody would disagree with how you have put that in a nutshell. And more importantly, like you said, how all of us are happy. And I would like to take that opportunity also to tell you, while all of us are smiling, we both are also bleeding in blue. Of course, everybody is rooting for India in terms of this spirit, but we're clearly also displaying that. Having said that, let me get in a word win from you, Ratan. Given how, of course, Professor Kapoor has also spoken about the aspect about how this is going to also help the larger aspect of the Gaganyaan mission, and that's essentially what we're looking at in terms of Shubhanshu Shukla's role as well. But before we get talking about that, what does this also say about the ever-growing space for Indian space missions, given the fact that we've seen so much of progress over the years?
So thank you, Nivedna. And as I was just speaking to your colleague, Prashant, a few minutes before, this actually marks a huge transition from where we were in 1984. I was born, I was there. So I have seen the launch, but it's a huge transition in the journey that ISRO and the Indian space industry and technology has done in the last 40 years. We have seen moving on from a Soyuz module, which was in those days the country of choice for us in Russia, and we did not have any discussion with the United States or the West. In fact, we were in a technology denial regime. Today, we are not only flying our astronaut in a public-private mission. I mean, Axiom is a private company, so is SpaceX, and therefore we are a part of a joint mission along with other two countries, which have also flown their astronauts last maybe 40 years or so ago. So this is amazing to see how we have done this transition from being aligned to one country to being almost on our own with the technology that we have developed in-house and the journey that we have done in-house. A lot of this has happened in the last 4 to 5 years when the Indian space policy probably took shape and the space sector was open to the private sector along with the public sector, because it is absolutely clear that unless we infuse new technology and new capital into this segment, we would not be able to see the kind of progress that we want to see and the kind of achievements we want to do in the next 5 to 10 years, because the space economy is going to contribute in a huge manner in the next, I would say, 5 to 10 years. We have a Vision 2030 as well. So this is something that we must see in terms of what is the new role of ISRO and what is the new role of industry. As we probably have seen, the SSLV being transferred to HAL, which is a public sector company. But at the same time, speaking about Gaganyaan, which is the Indian human space crewed mission, this journey of Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla on the Axiom as a pilot and his role as a pilot is extremely important, because the learnings that we are going to take from here are going to help us probably when we do our crewed mission, and even before the crewed mission, when we do our preparations and sending Vyomnauts, as we call, before the Gaganyaan go in. I think it is something that we all need to be proud of, apart from the fact that we are sending another Indian citizen into the space after 40 years. We have Indians gone earlier. Kalpana Chawla ji was there, and of course, Sunita Williams has been there, but he's an Indian citizen. This whole journey should be seen as in terms of a huge capability development, technology development that the country has had in the past 15 to 20 years, and especially in the last 10 years and 5 years, when we have organizations and regulators such as the InSpace, NSIL, are working alongside with ISRO.
All right, Ratan, it's safe to say that it's a synergy of all of those groups coming together. And like you've rightly pointed out, in the larger scheme of things, this is also given the fact that there's so much of push towards that development. But you, of course, mentioned about Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, who, of course, has given us multiple reasons to be smiling this evening. But Professor Kapoor, let me take that to you. Does Shukla's mission help also build astronaut training credibility for ISRO?
Certainly, yes, because it's to use his words, what a ride. So the entire ride is going to be very, very educational, because every moment we learn things, and all of that we make note of. And we are also, while there, he's going to share his experience. After he comes back, he is going to join his fellow astronauts, and then in ISRO, whatever he exchanges with his colleagues and other scientists and engineers, that is going to help in a big way for the next step ISRO is going to take. Although there will be dummy missions from the point of view of Gaganyaan mission, but finally, I think towards the end of 2026 or in 2027, astronauts are going to go up in space. They are supposed to be in orbit at about 400 kilometers from the ground, and 3 days they are going to spend. And quite a lot of preparation is going. In fact, every single aspect you should see that quite so much of it is Indian, from spacesuits to the food, and even the life support system also. Earlier it was to be given by Russia, but ISRO is developing its own. So there are a lot of things. See, in the preparation of the Gaganyaan mission itself for the past several years until now, quite a lot ISRO has done in terms of innovation. And you know that apart from DRDO and some other public sector units, ISRO has the participation of about 650 industries. So which is a remarkable thing, because the private sector was participating in ISRO's programs for quite some time, but now this thing has come out in the open with the formation of NSIL and InSpace. Obviously, there's a big start for the private sector units. They are doing things on their own also, and obviously joining hands with ISRO is beneficial for both the sides. So if you give me a little time, let me tell you a little story. See, I'm going to be about 77. So in 1962, I would stand in the queue before the ration shop, and that is the time when INCOSPAR was formed. I think hardly any people knew what is the significance of this. Scientists will fire rockets in space. In 1969, I joined my first year in MSc Physics, and that is the time when Neil Armstrong set his foot on the moon. And 3 weeks later, Srimati Indira Gandhi formed, upgraded INCOSPAR to ISRO. ISRO has not looked back since then, particularly after the first successful launch of PSLV in 1994. These last 31 years, I must say, have been remarkable for ISRO. Although there are few failures, but success, the book of success is much, much thicker compared to, in fact, from failures we learn much more than from successes. So obviously,
so you are sharing with us,
time.
that story and that journey, and have to interject you there because we are running out of time. But thank you very much, both Ratan as well as Professor Kapoor, for not only, of course, sharing with us your perspective as to what we make of the mission, the learnings and the key takeaways that we'll see through this mission. Professor Kapoor for also sharing that story with us. But for the moment, we leave it at that. All of us, of course, here are, in a sense, celebrating what Shubhanshu Shukla has managed to do. But the backbone for Shubhanshu Shukla today, his parents, in fact, are also sharing that particular message of joy as to what that mission is looking while their son has set out on this. Let's listen in to what they have to say.
शंभुदयाल जी, कितना खुशी का पल था ये आपके लिए?
बहुत खुशी का पल था, मगर ये है कि बच्चा है हमारा, कोई मिशन आसान है नहीं, तो लगता है कि अंदर से
पूरा परिवार एक सेकंड को इमोशनल भी हो गया था, वो खुशी के आंसू थे। कैसा रहा वो पल आप लोगों के लिए?
बहुत बढ़िया पल।
आंटी, कैसा था वो पल जब लिफ्ट ऑफ हुआ, जब लॉन्च हुआ, कैसा लगा?
बहुत अच्छा था, खुशी के आंसू आए थोड़ी देर के लिए।
आप काफी इमोशनल भी हो गए।
हाँ, मैं भगवान का नाम ले रही थी, ठीक लगा।
डांस भी आप लोगों ने किया, कैसा रहा? डांस भी आप लोगों ने किया?
बढ़िया, अच्छा लगा, इसीलिए डांस किया।